What's up, my good people of the internet? Happy to be hanging out here with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. We are here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We separated into hour 1 and 2, so all about faith this day on Wake Up Call, and really every single day that you're on here, as it's not something that I hide, and it's something that I value and treasure more than anything else, with God up top and everything else after that. So happy to have had Joe Adam in the first hour of this broadcast and to celebrate his story and have him share that with you. And I thank you for your patience here today, as Lily had to go out to the vet, had to get checked, had to make sure she was okay, and so that took precedence over everything else, and had to make sure Lily was all right, and thankfully she is. So to everybody that sends out prayers and well wishes, I appreciate that so very much. The goose is good, and she's running around. So happy to have all that going well, and I hope you're doing well today. In this hour of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, we have Ma and Pa's Kettle Corner Popcorn Factory presenting to you What's Poppin'. And What's Poppin' is Dukes Knutson joining me here for Blessings in Baseball. It is a bi-monthly segment that we bring you here exclusively on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where we speak about exactly that, faith and the great sport of baseball. So we have the opportunity to share that with you here this morning, and it is my honor and my privilege to be sharing the stage with one of my nearest and dearest friends, and someone who always keeps my faith in check, and that is Mr. Dukes Knutson of the Tampa Bay Rays, their press box manager, joining me here this morning and bi-monthly. Dukes, how are you?
Doing great, Dan. Thanks. Been a while since we talked.
Yeah, I know it's been a minute, because I know you had scheduling wise with the Rays and different things that were going on, so we had to be patient with that. I was traveling as well, so I'm happy to have you here on the show. First and foremost, before we get into any type of baseball or anything out here, why do you feel blessed today? What are you grateful for today?
Me?
Yeah.
I am blessed to be a man of faith that Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. Woke up this morning and got a brand new day ahead to serve Him.
And that's simple as that, right? Woke up this morning, got an opportunity to go out there and do something good with our lives and serve the God that we love. So when we look at
Amen.
our faith, we have to lean on it. We have to lean on it at times of strife. We have to lean on it and when everything is good. I think it's easy for people to run to God and ask God for stuff, but they forget, hey, when things are going well, when you got what you wanted, to go back and say thank you. I saw a prayer or a message, something, I wanted to say it was last week or within the last couple of weeks, where it said, God, help me to remember that the life that I'm living in right now is one that I had been praying for. It's one that I had been asking for. Like, help me to appreciate the fact that the life that I'm currently in, that I'm enjoying, there was a time where I thought it couldn't happen, that it wouldn't happen. I'm living in the life that I prayed about. And I feel like that is such a powerful message, and I'd love to get your thoughts on that. That once we have the blessing, right? Let's, a couple years ago we pray for something, we hope for something, it finally comes through, and then we're focused on the next thing instead of going back to God and saying, hey, there was a day where I was like, I want to be a broadcaster and I don't know how I'm going to get there. And now it's going to be 20 years next month. So there's those moments where I feel like we need to be reflective, appreciative, thankful, grateful. Just what you could say about that, of remembering that the life that you might be living today is one that you were praying about a day ago, a month ago, 10 years ago.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Dan. To remember is really important. Jesus said it at the Last Supper. He said, "Do this in remembrance of me." Why do we celebrate holidays? We celebrate holidays to remember.
Yeah.
I think of Memorial Day or Veterans Day, 4th of July, Christmas. It's to remember something from the past. It's a God incident that you brought this up, because I just saw a posting on Facebook this morning from one of my former students who was remembering one of her classmates who was killed by a drunk driver at 15 years old back in 1976. And I remember Denny. Denny was a hockey player. He loved life. I remember what a tragedy that was. Now, 47 years later, we're still taking time to remember. And it's a big part of what I call, for myself, my quiet time in the morning. I try to take about 90 minutes in the morning to just have spend time with the Lord, either in the Bible, prayer, listening to music, just reflecting, remembering
Yeah.
all the blessings He's given us. And for me, Dan, I think it's important to try to get off of ourselves. I think of what's going on in Israel and Gaza right now, and we can't imagine the horror and the just the how awful that situation is.
Yeah.
And most of us might look on TV and see in the news and say, "Oh, isn't that awful?" But then we'll turn the TV station and watch a baseball game.
Yeah.
Um, it's that's what I appreciate about my quiet time is it generally it brings things into perspective more.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, we look at something and we say, "Oh, wow, that's bad. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, that stinks." And then, we move on to the next thing, right? We're
Yeah.
on to the next part of our lives, and I feel like with, it seems like in today's world, and maybe it's just because the news is so dramatically focused on drama, dramatically focused on drama, I think is my way of putting it, because it's drama on top of drama. The news likes drama. They like seeing hate. They like seeing a burglary. They like seeing a robbery. They like seeing a murder because they want to report on it. It's something for them to get ratings and get boosted. And it's a sad thing to say, but I was having a conversation with people, with one of my buddies yesterday, and I said to him, I was like, obviously, I'm not like this, but there's other people out there in the media world that they enjoy when something bad happens. They enjoy a hate crime. They enjoy a war. They enjoy when something doesn't go right or well, because they have the opportunity to report on it. And for me, I would love to never have that news. I would love to come on the news and have the biggest thing be that there was a giraffe born at the zoo, that, you know, they brought back my favorite oatmeal swirl that I used to have, that, as a kid growing up. But it seems like people like to focus on the negative in the news, and they like to speak on it so much, and they enjoy it and they live for it because it's a story, instead of thinking about the people that are on the other side of this story. And, I think about Israel right now. I think about my friends who have connections back to the homeland, and those are things that break my heart and they upset me. But I feel like the point I was getting at, Dukes, is I feel like a lot of us have gotten desensitized because the news is so focused on negative. I feel like it's not like, oh, there was a school shooting, let me say a prayer. It's like, oh, there's another school shooting. Oh my gosh, this is suffocating. This is the 20th one this year. So I feel like we've almost become a society where and this is sad to say, but it's like we expect there to be something. We expect there to be a problem. We expect there to be something that is, causing deaths. We expect there to be another disease. We expect there to be complications with something, to the point where we're desensitized to it, like you said, where we kind of see it on the news and then we go, oh yeah, okay, well, I'm going to go have my cereal now. And I feel like that's where we've gotten at as a society. And I think that we need to do something about that, because a society that is desensitized to the pain of others is not healthy.
Yeah, I agree 100%. In fact, I I'm kind of ashamed to admit this, but I didn't even know until I saw it this morning, that Afghanistan had an earthquake.
Yeah.
4,000 people were killed. Can you imagine that? 4,000 people killed by an earthquake. And I would venture to say that many of us over here in the States didn't even know it happened.
Yeah.
And so I agree with you. We are being desensitized, and I guess the key, Dan, is, so what do we do about
Yeah, and I think the that question is best answered with, how much do we care about each other? How much do we value each other? And, what can we do to get people back to thinking about each other, thinking about, how to help each other? And I think really what it comes down to, and this is my best answer, and I think it's always going to be my best answer. I know it's always going to be my best answer is God. What do? We teach about God. You take God out of a classroom. You take God out of your store. You don't say Merry Christmas anymore. You don't do this. You don't do that. What I've seen in society, I'm 37 years old. I always reflect back on being in elementary school. And when I was in elementary school, we prayed. We prayed in the morning. We prayed before we left. We prayed, 3 times a day, a bunch of times. I went to Christian Brothers Academy. I still remember our prayer. We just had our 20-year anniversary. Let us remember that we're in the holy presence of God. St. John the Baptist de La Salle, pray for us. Live Jesus in our hearts forever. And we said that all the time. And whenever somebody said, let us know we're in the holy presence of God, everybody would stop and we would recite that prayer about St. John the Baptist de La Salle. And I remember our vigils that we had. I remember going to the gym and, when 9/11 happened and whatnot. There were so many things we did in schools. And granted, I went to Catholic schools, but I don't understand how public school equals no God. I don't understand. It's like you either go to Catholic school and you believe in God, or you go to public school and if you believe in God, you hide it because we don't talk about that here. I don't understand how public became no God, no prayer, no just living in the presence of the Lord. So how do we change things and how do we make things get better and get people to actually stop and care? I think you have to teach people about God, because I don't know anything else on this planet that's going to make people care consistently and consciously without God.
Well, obviously, I'm with you 100% on that. I believe God is the answer to everything, but I also understand the conundrum.
Yeah.
If you have Muslim students in your classroom who don't believe in Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
uh, how can you do we force them to listen to Christian prayers in public schools? It's a very delicate and tough issue, and honestly, Dan, I don't have the answer. Uh,
Yeah.
if possible, I like you. I don't have kids. I was never a father, but I have nieces and nephews, and some of them have been sent to Christian schools, and I see a huge difference
Yeah.
when kids are in a Christian environment.
Yeah.
That would be my desire for my kids, but I understand that not everybody not only believes in that but can't afford it. So it's a huge problem in our society.
Yeah, and I think, and you bring up a great point. Different religions. I think, for me, as long as we can spend some time with God, in school, in work, in whatever, to tell people, hey, whatever religion you are, whatever denomination you are, Muslim, Jewish, Catholic, any faction of Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, whatever, or Hindu, whatever it may be, let's just get together and let's just pray, right? Because all these religions believe in a God, right? The only religion that separates God into multiple gods is the Buddhist religion. But when I look at this, I say to myself, and I took a class on religion in college, what do Hindus, Buddhists, Muslims, Catholics, Christians in general, and Jewish, faith have in common? They all believe that there is a higher power. And all of those religions have one higher power, except for the Buddhists, who separate God into the God of fire, the God of water, the God of earth. And then when people say, well, what can you say to a Buddhist? What do you have in common as a Christian with a Buddhist? And I would say, because isn't my God the God of water, the God of earth, the God of fire? They separate and speak to many gods that they believe all come into this great power, but our God is the one that oversees it all. So, I feel like being open-minded in schools right now and saying, hey, let's just pray. You know, if I can stand with a Muslim and hold their hand and pray, there's nothing that can stop me from doing that. They believe in God. I believe in God. We should pray together. And I think if this world prays together, it can be moved. I mean, you look at this, Dukes, song, right? Music. When people come together with music, different languages, backgrounds, religions, ethnicities, orientations, all this stuff, music has moved people to stop and to appreciate the moment. I believe prayer can do the same thing. And if people think I'm crazy for that in 2023, when everything happened with Damar Hamlin, what did we do? The world prayed for one person. The world prayed. Countries prayed. All different states prayed. I saw it on social media. I said, isn't that something to come into this new year and we're 3 days in and we're talking about prayer and God. God is good. Let's keep praying. Let's pray for this person. And we saw how prayer moved, how prayer like a wave just came over this earth. And I think with music having the power of that, I think prayer in the same way has the power of it. You could be a different religion. You could be a person speaking a different language coming from a different place. But if you can hold hands with somebody and you can pray to God, why do we think that can't move mountains? If music can do it, I would think prayer is a little bit above music.
Well, again, I'm behind you 100%. I'm on your bandwagon. I just see it as it's so complicated, so complex, that I think to somebody like you and I who are professed Christians, we look at it like, hey, here's the easy answer right here, right before it.
Yeah.
But I've been in numerous conversations with others who maybe don't have that belief, and they have their arguments or their feelings on it as well, and so it's really complex. The Hamlin situation I think was extremely unique, and like you said, it demonstrated the power of prayer at that moment of uniting. 9/11 was the same way. I mean, we talked about this before. For 2 weeks, this country became united.
Yeah.
This divided country became united in prayer. Church attendance soared for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then it faded.
Yeah.
And we're right back to where we are. So for me personally, I go back to, it has to be your faith has to be a game changer, not something that's going to last for 2 weeks and then go away. It's something that's got to be forever. I made my profession to Christ over 40 years ago, and today it's as strong, if not stronger, than it was back then.
Yeah.
It didn't fade after 2 weeks because I tell this to a lot of my baseball players that I speak to, that it's just like, a lot of them are going home now. The season's over. Well, if they don't do anything, physically speaking, to improve as a baseball player between now and February, guess what? February is going to come and they're not going to be ready.
Yeah.
You have to exercise. You have to work out. And the same is true in our spiritual walk. If you're not taking quiet time, if you're not reading your Bible, if you're not having fellowship, your faith is going to atrophy.
Yeah. No, and you bring up a great point, and I think it's more than a fair point, right? That how we are going to go about this, and if what we practice, right? What we do on a daily. We talk about habits. Life is filled with habits. They say it takes 3 weeks, 21 days. Easy for me to remember. It's my favorite number. And my birthday. So, they say it takes 3 weeks to create a habit, good or bad. And that repetition, right? I mean, I could be a great broadcaster right now, and I could step away for 3, 4, 5 months and I still know how to do my job, but there's that feeling of you got to practice your muscle, right? You got to keep putting yourself out there. You got to keep your brain sharp. You have to, continue to, like, I love it. And this is the thing, like, people say to me, you work so much, why are you putting more work on yourself? And my response to that is, it's not that I'm trying to put more work on myself. It's just once I find a partnership, I want another one. Not because I'm greedy, not because I want billions of dollars, not because, I'm trying to build a palace for myself. It's because of the fact that I love the creativity. I love going to someone, creating something they've never seen before, getting them to smile and open up to it and be excited about it. And when they shake their hand and they say, I want to do this idea that you came up with, that to me, it's exciting, it's invigorating, it's fun. I want to do it again because I like to bring people together. I like to create ideas. I like to have that. So, when you talk about baseball, it's the same thing, right? You could be one of the best hitters in baseball, but you come off an injury and you haven't played in a year and you go up to bat, it might take 15 games before that swing starts to feel natural again. So I think it's the same with prayer. I tell people, if you've never prayed before, that's totally fine. It's totally fine if you've never prayed before, but pray now. And Dan, what do I say? Say how you feel. Say what you're thinking. See, prayer is not, hey, God, I need something. I'm going to tell you what I need, and then I'm going to sit here and I'm going to wait for it to hit my desk. Prayer is a conversation with God. There's something I put up, and I can't take credit for it because I found it online yesterday, but I put it up and it says, when you pray, God listens. When you listen, God talks. When you believe, God works. So it's that two-way street of saying, hey, God wants you to talk with him. But after you're done talking, you need to listen. You don't just say, hey, God, I need all this stuff. All right, thanks. I'm going to go do something else now. You need to listen. And not only do you need to listen, but you have to believe in the power of God. People that have never prayed before and don't know and don't believe in God and whatever, but they're at their wits' end. They go up to God and they say, hey, God, need $1 million. Thanks so much. Cool. Got to go do something else now. And that's not how prayer works. And I feel like if we teach people to just have a conversation, treat God like a friend that you can always count on, like somebody who's never going to let you down, who's always going to listen, who's always going to pick up the phone, who's never going to ghost you, who's never going to ignore you, forsake you, forget you, dishonor you. If you can believe that you could have a friend that will never fail you, that's who God is. And if you can talk to God in that respect and know anytime you pick up the phone, he's going to answer it, then those conversations, I tell people this, I don't pray 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night. I pray all day. I'm constantly having a conversation with God. And I feel like that comes, like you said, like muscle memory. It comes with repetition. It comes with a habit. It comes with not praying to get something, not praying because you need something that day, but to wake up every morning and remember that you didn't wake yourself up. You didn't just bring your spirit up and say, here I am. That God tapped you and said, Daniel, Dukes, whoever you are, it's time to get up this morning. And if you can be appreciative of that tap on your shoulder, that kiss on your forehead, that can be the start to your day.
Yeah, and I go back to my quiet time in the morning. That listening is definitely a part of that. And before you even, if we're asking people as Christians to put their total faith, total trust in God, in Jesus Christ, first you got to get to know a person. You're not going to trust somebody who you don't know.
Yeah.
And so how do you get to know God? Well, in my mind, the best way is through the Bible. But there's certainly other ways. It's through having conversations like this with other Christians. It's called fellowship, church, music. You brought up music. I can't tell you how music has been such a big part of my faith journey. Almost every day, well, I take a prayer walk every afternoon, and I'm listening to Christian music, and virtually every song that comes on, it's like, oh God, this song is speaking to me, man.
Yeah.
And so making a concentrated effort to get to know who is God. Do I have a personal, intimate relationship with this person? So much so that I'm willing to commit the rest of my life to this person and his teachings and his callings. And I mean, that's asking a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, that's I think the toughest part of this conversation, that to people that don't talk to God, don't believe in God, don't know God, is that it sounds like work. And we live in a society where people are literally handed money for staying at home. I knew somebody I played flag football with. He said, I have 5 kids. The government sent me a letter with the check that I get for my kids every month that said, if you have a 6th, this is what will boost your payment to. So he said, I'm not stupid. I had another baby. I want more money. So he literally had a child just to get a higher paycheck from the government. And you look at stuff like that in today's society, people are taught, you don't have to work. You don't have to care. You don't have to try. We'll give you money. We'll provide avenues for you. We live in what Joe, Adam, and I were talking about earlier here in the first part of today's show, which I call the trophy society. People wonder why I hire people, Dan, they don't come to work. I train them for 2 weeks, they don't show up. Or they show up and they're on their phone. Or they show up and I'm the owner and I tell them this is how you make the sandwich, and they go, yeah, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to do it a different way because I don't want to do it that way. And they think that they have the right to do that, speaking to the boss like that. They talk back. I was in an airport, and this woman was very, very rude to the people getting on the plane. And I was on standby for the flight, so I was waiting, and there was a bunch of us, and we should have all gotten on. There was more than enough seats. But because the woman was rude and disrespectful and taking a really long time, well, rude and disrespectful was outside of that. She had taken so much time to get the plane set that they had to close the door. So her manager, I went up to her and I said, hey, what's going on? Like, I'm just trying to understand. It said there was 4 seats. Now it says there's 13. She said, oh, yeah, Mr. Tortora, you should have been on this flight. But this woman didn't do what she was supposed to do. And so you all missed it. So there's a chance that none of you are going to get to your destination. And it was kind of just a shrug and see you later. Like, who cares? And then she said to the woman, she said, I don't like the way you're talking to people. I don't appreciate it. We're going to discuss this later. And the worker, right in front of everybody in public, talked back to her manager and started saying, well, you don't know how these people treat me, and you don't know this, and you don't know that. And she said, we are not having this conversation in public. And I stood there and I thought to myself, how do we live in a society where you can literally talk back to your boss, swear at your boss, yell at your boss, disrespect your boss in public while you're on the clock? I mean, I remember being at work anywhere I worked. I would not even think of that. Imagine anything like that. Even if my boss was wrong about something, I wasn't going to stand there and go, hey, let's have an open argument where I disrespect you in public in front of all these people that work here, that are our guests here today. But we live in a society where there's a lack of respect, there's a lack of work, there's this belief that you can just get things. And the trophy society, like I was talking about when people say, why do these kids come to work and then they don't show up for 2 weeks and they want vacation time 2 days into working? Because of the trophy society. These kids that are now in college, these kids that are now working at your business, these are the kids that grew up that if they went to a soccer tournament and there was 15 teams, everybody got a trophy. Same size, everyone got it. The trophy society in America that I have been warning people about for years, this is why people don't show up to work. This is why people aren't responsible. This is why people don't say they're sorry. This is why people have been coddled and told, if you are in first place or you're in last place, you're all the same. Everybody won. Everyone's the CEO. Nobody's under anybody else. And the thing is, I understand that you want everybody to feel on the same level. But when Major League Baseball plays their World Series, whoever wins it, they don't give a trophy to 30 teams. They give a trophy to one, or else there's no point in playing the game. And this trophy society of all you have to do is show up to the soccer match and you're a winner. That's what I think has created what we have here today, which is a bunch of people that think that life has no adversity and they never know, and they don't know how to respond to adversity because they've been told and coddled and brought up that everything is easy and no matter what you do, right, wrong, or indifferent, we're going to hand you a trophy and we're going to pat you on the back and say you did a good job, even if you didn't do a good job.
Yeah. I think we both see our society, our culture is trending in that direction.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you that, like in my position with the Rays, I work with several interns every year. And the vast majority of those interns are outstanding workers. And they've got a goal. They know they need to work hard to get there. So I'm not prepared myself, and I don't claim to know this factually, but I'm not prepared to indict all of, our young people as that way. I do see it trending that way, which I don't like. It bothers me. I don't like that trophy society. I I had a debate with a gentleman about just personally, Dan. These teams were celebrating in the locker rooms after they clinched a playoff spot with champagne, spraying, cigars, all that kind of stuff. Well, when I was growing up, that kind of a celebration was for the World Series champion.
Yeah.
And now a team could be having that kind of a celebration 5 times within a 6-week period.
Yeah.
And to me, that waters it down. It detracts from the elation of the moment.
Yeah.
In my mind, as a coach, I was only a high school coach, not a major league coach, but your goal is to win the World Series.
Yeah.
And I personally, I don't think I'd want my team celebrating unless we reach our goal. I'm not saying you don't take pride in what you've done, but this thing that we have to have champagne and cigars and all that kind of stuff. If you clinch a playoff spot, if you win the wild card, if you win the divisional series, you win the championship series, and then you win the World Series.
Yeah. I mean, you say that, and it makes me, when I think of cigars, I think of like, you have a cigar when you find out that you're having a baby. Well, if you have a cigar every time you attempt to have a baby, that's a lot of cigars, right? And so I look at it in that respect, and in no way, when I say trophy society, I want to be clear about this, am I indicting everybody. I don't group people into things. I say the trophy society is giving everyone a trophy has created a world where there are people that believe they don't have to work for anything. But in no way, shape, or form am I saying everybody, because I have met a ton of people that are willing to work and get after it. And I tell people all the time, I sit with high school kids all the time. I sat with them last night, Baldwinsville Bees girls volleyball team. And none of those girls were sitting there going, yeah, we don't work hard. Yeah, we don't care. I mean, you could tell their effort and their enthusiasm. I'm surrounded by the future of today and tomorrow that I'm very proud of and happy for. And I feel like God is very proud of. There's just this theme that's in these other places that's creeping into our country that you don't have to work hard. You don't have to try. Everyone's going to be treated the same. If you're the CEO or you're the male person, you're all going to make the same money and you're going to have the same title and you're going to have this. And that's not how life works. I can't walk into Disney and say, I'm the head of Disney. And then Disney goes, why? And I say, because I feel like I am. And then Disney goes, well, if you feel like you are, well, then you are. No, you have to work for that. If I said I'm going to be a broadcaster, a lot of people said that. But if I didn't work for 19 plus years, almost 20 now, I wouldn't be sitting here today. Because somebody had asked me before, they said, what keeps you from staying in your pajamas all day, eating cereal and watching TV? I said, me. And they look at you and I'm like, I would never allow that. And they're like, why? You can do whatever you want. I said, yes, I can do whatever I want, but what I do has consequences. And why do we live in a society that believes there's not consequences for what you do or fail to do? So, in that respect, speaking on what has been done and what teams have accomplished up to this point, I do want to talk about your Rays. I know it's sad and I know it's somber, but last week I felt good. Last week I said to myself, I'm going with the Tampa Bay Rays over the Rangers. I know the Rangers are a threat, but the Tampa Bay Rays, 99 wins, won a ton of games without Wander Franco, moved forward, figured out a way to do it, continued to be successful. They were just a few steps out of not only getting to 100 wins, but being the top team in the American League East and leading the entire American League. This is a team that's your 4 seed out of 6 that could have very well been your 1 seed with a few more games. How can I think that this team's going to get bumped out 2-0 in a series with anybody? And then it happened. And you experienced it, Dukes. What are your thoughts on what went down for the Tampa Bay Rays?
Well, I think I have a different perspective than a lot of people. When you get to the playoffs, and we'll take this year as an example, there's 12 teams out of 30 that are in the playoffs. I honestly believe this, Dan, that we were talking earlier about you predict all these things. I don't predict. I never predict because sports, baseball is unpredictable. 99 wins means absolutely nothing when the Rangers and Rays stepped on that field last Tuesday. It meant absolutely nothing. Could either team win that game? Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. I had another interesting little debate with a gentleman just yesterday who wants to go back to the 1-game wild card playoff, which I'm against. I like the 2 out of 3. I think it's more fair. Excuse me. But it does create that problem, and I guess the Braves and Dodgers are good examples of it. It gave them almost a full week of no baseball.
Right.
And did they get rusty? What's happening? Well, you could make the same argument. Let's just say the Rays had beaten Texas 2 out of 3. Well, couldn't you make the same argument that excuse me, Dan. Couldn't you make the same argument that Texas has been on the road for 2 weeks? They went to Anaheim, then they went to Seattle, then they had to fly cross country to Tampa. And couldn't you make the argument that they needed some rest?
Yeah.
And so we need to fix the system so a team like Texas isn't so weary after 2 weeks of being on the road. And I find it kind of, for me personally, it's kind of ludicrous that we're starting to blame the Braves and the Dodgers' woes on the fact they had too much rest.
Yeah.
Give me a break. Give me a break. They've just had a 162-game season. They can use a rest.
Yeah. And like you said, there's a bunch of things that people could say, right? There's a bunch of excuses that people could make.
Absolutely. And going back to my point that anything can happen. I'm not going to be surprised by anything. No, I shouldn't say that. We all make judgments based on what we see on paper. Should the Dodgers be better than 0-2 right now against the D-backs? On paper, yes. But we don't play the games on paper.
Yeah.
We play the games, and anything can happen. And guess what? It is happening.
Yeah. I just get tired of making an excuse for I get tired of hearing this. Like back in the day, if you won, you won. It wasn't like, oh, they won, but this player was out. The Toronto Raptors won the 2019 championship, but Klay Thompson wasn't 100% healthy. And what would it have been like if he was 100% healthy? Yet when my Raptors have lost before, I didn't hear anybody go, oh, it's because I wasn't there, and it's because this didn't happen. And it's like, okay, well, Bill Belichick, he doesn't have Tom Brady anymore, and he's losing. He's losing big. And does that mean that Bill Belichick's a horrendous coach? No, but he doesn't have his quarterback. He doesn't have his guy. But should we sit here and go, oh, let's make excuses for the Patriots. Let's give the Patriots a trophy. You know what? We feel bad that they don't have Tom Brady. So instead of them having losses, let's just call them ties. Even though they got beat fair and square, we feel bad for them. The Jaguars go overseas and they say, well, they probably beat the Bills because the Bills had jet lag. Well, the Jaguars were there the week before, and the Jaguars came when the Falcons came, and both teams could have had jet lag, and Jacksonville came and they played well. And then you could say, well, Jacksonville stayed for an extra week. Buffalo didn't. Buffalo could have jet lag. Maybe the Jaguars got over theirs. Okay, that's true. But the Jaguars played an away game in London. Most of those people were Buffalo Bills fans. So then you could argue, okay, well, they had to play a road game the week before they played a home game. So, I mean, why are we in sports right now making excuses? That's what I don't like, is we're making excuses. The Diamondbacks aren't winning because they're a better team. The Diamondbacks are winning because the Dodgers had to wait. They had to wait to play. And that's not fair to the Dodgers. And if the Dodgers got to play right away, well, then the Dodgers would be up 2-0. How do people know that? How do you know that? And so I think we can always talk about angles and different pieces. And obviously players that are injured and things that happen affect things. But when it all comes down to it, you play the game that's in front of you. You know the schedule. You know what it's like. The Dodgers have played and been successful how many times in the playoffs and figured it out how many times in the playoffs. So I would like for people to wake up this morning and say the Diamondbacks won because they were the better team the last 2 days. Or the last 2 games. They were the better team. Okay? The Rangers won because they were the better team against the Rays. The Rays scored 1 run. The Jays scored 1 run. In 4 games combined between the AL East, Rays and Jays, they scored a combined 2 runs in 4 games. It was awful for the Jays and the Rays, but it's what happened. The Twins came from the worst division in baseball. They were the only team that ended that division with a winning record. Yet the Twins look like they are a dangerous team. But there's this like rumbling conversation of the Twins are winning and the Diamondbacks are winning. All these teams are winning because these other teams had to rest, and that's why they're winning. And I'm like, you still got to hit the bat. You still got to hit the ball. You still got to have a good eye. You still got to pitch well. And if anybody was watching that Diamondbacks game last night, 4-2, let me tell you something about that game. That game coming down the stretch for a Diamondbacks fan that I am, that was a heart-stopping, gut-wrenching, I couldn't sit down, had to stand up and be right in front of the television like, get this out. My stomach was like, please get this out. So I don't think the Dodgers are sitting here going, oh, woe is us. We had to sit for a couple days. Because then my argument on the other side would be, okay, your pitchers had more rest. Clayton Kershaw had more time. Guys that were injured had more time to get healthy. Guys had more time to center themselves and refocus and do the things they needed to do. Family men had more time with their family, and that could help them to, we can argue back and forth till the cows come home. At the end of the day, it's a sport. They played the game. Give the teams that won their flowers, and let's move forward, in my opinion.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying too, is that you just never know. You take the worst team in Major League Baseball. I don't know, Kansas City, Oakland, whoever. And guess what? They're going to beat the top team at some point. They're going to win. The difference is, yes, it's significant, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that the worst team cannot win at some point.
Right.
And you brought up my Twins, so you got your D-backs, I've got my Twins. Are the Twins supposed to beat Houston in this series? No, not on paper. Are the Twins capable of beating Houston? Of course they are. That's
Yeah.
why we're playing these games.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and that the thing is, all these teams made the playoffs. They all made the playoffs. So it's,
Based on 162 games.
right. And if I hear one more time, the Diamondbacks made the playoffs winning 84 games. I don't care how many games that it took for them to get in. The Phillies last year gave the Braves heck, right? They've been giving the Braves heck for the last couple of years, and they finished this season double digits behind the Braves because you play other teams. We're saying, well, if the Phillies are 14 games behind the Braves, how are they competitive against them? You play 162 games. You don't play 162 games between the Braves and the Phillies. You play 162 games. Maybe the Braves had an easier schedule. Maybe the Braves caught fire at the right time here and not here. Maybe the Phillies had an injured pitcher when the Braves didn't. There's a bunch of things that go into the pot, but at the end of it, it's matchups. And what some people are arguing are, if a team won 100 games in the regular season, how dare they be in a series where they're losing to a team that won 84 games? And my response to that is, I don't care how many games you won in the regular season. All that does is get you into the playoffs. Once you're in, we're all 0-0, and you got to play the game.
Yeah, that's what I said at the very beginning of this, that the 99 games means nothing once the playoffs start. You're 0-0, everybody.
So, looking at the series so far, I want to go back to the wild card for a second. And there were no wild card series that went 3 games. Nobody forced a game 3. Everybody won 2-0. The Phillies beat the Marlins. The Phillies were the higher seed. The Diamondbacks beat the Brewers. The Brewers were the higher seed. The Twins beat the Blue Jays. The Twins were the higher seed. The Rangers beat the Rays. The Rays were the higher seed. When you reflect back and you look on the wild card series that happened last Tuesday and Wednesday to start October, what are the memorable things that you kind of take away from that?
Just the Twin series? Or?
The whole wild card, when you look back on it, were there any surprises for you? Anything that
sure.
you took away?
Yeah, and again, I think most of us, myself included, even though some of the things I've just said that, everybody's 0-0, I was surprised that the Rays lost the way they did. It was not the Rays team that it was not the Rays team that played typical Rays baseball.
Yeah.
Defense was horrible. 4 errors. Oh, I'm sorry, Dan.
It's okay.
4 errors in 1 game. That's unheard of for the Rays. Glasnow, wasn't the same pitcher. The batting, like you said, only 1 run in 2 games. That's not the typical Rays baseball. So we go into the series expecting at least typical.
Yeah.
And I could almost say the opposite with the Twins. I went into that series. They exceeded the typical Twins play in beating the Blue Jays. But we're just again rehashing and reinforcing both of our convictions that anything can happen in the playoffs. That's what makes playoffs so much fun.
Yeah, and it's been really exciting, and I appreciate you being here today because I know you're a bit under the weather, and so I appreciate you being here. Blessings in baseball with myself and Dukes Knutson, the press box manager of the Tampa Bay Rays. Dukes, for you, there's something that came up on my show this week, and it's come up before, and that is people complaining from the outside that when they watch a game with the Tampa Bay Rays, there's no fans in the stands, the support's not there, can't give away the tickets, it's playoff baseball and people aren't coming out. Some people have said Tampa St. Pete doesn't deserve a team. Take the Rays out of Tampa, take them out of St. Pete, bring them somewhere else, do something else because these fans don't want a baseball team. You're in there all season long. You're with this team through the ups, the downs, the peaks, the valleys, all throughout for many, many years now. What are your thoughts on when attendance is light? And how do you respond to people saying that they don't believe that Tampa deserves a team when they watch a game and they see that there's not as many fans in the stands?
I think attendance has dwindled in how we measure the the success or the popularity of a team. Rays attendance, if you look at the 162 games, Rays attendance was up by 30% this year. I believe it's the most in baseball, 30%. Uh, so to make a judgment based on two games, there's multiple reasons why we can make excuses of what happened. You know, we didn't find out until 2 days before that the games were going to be 3 o'clock games. That's not a real prime time for a game. I mean, if you've got kids that are coming home from school, you want to be home for your kids. Yet people are at work. They can't just automatically take time off 2 days in advance. There's multiple reasons. And I'm not trying to diminish the fact that it's a concern. I mean, but I think the fact that our attendance increased 30%, and also we have one of the highest TV markets in baseball. I believe we're ninth or 10th or something. So there's considerable interest in the Rays. Lots and lots of reasons why people aren't coming. I think, elderly population. We don't have a good transportation system, in my opinion. I go to Chicago. I have a brother who has a condo downtown. I can leave his condo and be in my seat at either the White Sox game or the Cubs game within a half hour.
Yeah.
I jump on the train and I'm there. We don't have that in Tampa. So, greater minds than me are examining this and trying to figure it out. And I don't know. Maybe someday they're going to have to move. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, and my hope is that that doesn't happen. My hope is that people do show up and people do appreciate it. And I've seen times where it's been great, and I've seen times where it hasn't been great being out there covering the Rays. And I think a lot of teams can say that. I think there's plenty of times where different teams can talk about the fact that their attendance was up or down. The good thing about going to see the Rays or the Diamondbacks is they are in the bottom 5 cheapest for a family of 4 in the FCI, which is a fan index where they take a family of 4 and they say tickets, parking, concessions. If you put it all together on average, the fan cost index, what does it look like? And the Diamondbacks have the best. They're under $160 for a family of 4, and the Tampa Bay Rays are within that bottom 5. And the most expensive ones are your Dodgers, your Red Sox, your Yankees, and so on and so forth. So,
Can I just say something about that, Dan? And I understand what you're saying, but to me, if $160 is the low, to me that's still a lot of money for one night for my family of 4. When I have to feed my kids, I have to educate my kids. $160. I mean, I remember going to Twins games when I was growing up for $3.
Yeah.
So yes, we're in the bottom of that category, but it's still, in my mind, that's still expensive.
Right.
I don't know how people who are at the top, I don't know how they afford it myself.
Right. And that's it's all relative. So you and I mean, we're talking about what's the most inexpensive, but I agree with you wholeheartedly, because I went on 4 dates with a girl this past year. 4 dates. And I hadn't been like actively dating. So I went on these 4 dates not even thinking. And we went to dinner. And we went to dinner. Then you go with dinner. So it was like 4 dinners. $200. And I called up my buddy who doesn't date. And I was like, bro, is this why you don't do it? I was like, I literally went out on dates and was like, that's $200. Like, That's ridiculous. You know what I mean? And to me, it was so, and the man is expected to pay because that's what chivalry is, and we need to stop saying chivalry equals pays for everything. Chivalry is a lot of things. It's not just being an endless bank account. And I just thought back on that and I was like, man, this is one of the things I forgot about dating, is that a man in our society is asked to pay for almost everything. And so if I was doing that, like let's say I'm going on dates with a girl and she loves the Diamondbacks, and I'm like, all right, let's go out, let's go see a couple games, right? So we got to fly out there, right? So you got to pay your tickets to fly out there. Let's say we get a good fare, we get $400 round trip, $500 round trip, but for two of us, so $1,000. So it's $1,000. Then we go to the game. We're spending a couple $100, and we go to a couple games a year. So I'm spending $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to go to like 3 games. And, I mean, you think about that, but then if I was living in Arizona and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go to the game. We'll do that for a date. It's like $100, $100, $100, $100. So how many? I go to 10 games out of 162 games, and you take that in half and you say, okay, 80 plus games at home. If I go to an eighth of the games at home in Arizona, I'm spending bare minimum $1,000 to take one person on a date. So, I mean, as cheap as it is and as inexpensive as it is comparative to the rest of the league, I agree with you that for a family of 4, I don't like going to the movies, paying $13 and, saying like, hey, Mom, let's go to the movies. Bring my mom to the movie, $33. And what did we get? She got popcorn. I bought the tickets. So actually, it's more than that. The tickets are like $20, the food's like $27. So I'm spending $50 to bring my mom to the movies in the middle of the day, for her to get a popcorn and a water, and for me to get a water and an appetizer. It's going to cost me $50. I mean, things in life are so expensive nowadays, and I feel like they need to bring it down. But Dukes, this is what happens. They go and buy these players, they spend these millions of dollars on the players, and then you're like, oh man, I'm so happy we got Mookie Betts. And then the Dodgers owner goes, yeah, your hot dog that was $3 is now $13 because we got to pay Mookie. And, that's the thing, is it always trickles down to the consumer. So I love that you brought that up with the Rays, because it is, and it's an older population. And like you said, transportation is difficult. There's things that they have to look at to make it accessible. But I do want people to show up, because this team has been consistently good, not occasionally great. And I don't know why, if you're living anywhere near Tampa, you wouldn't want to go see Rays baseball, because it's hard for any team to make the postseason, let alone make the postseason numerous years in succession and be in positions within the last couple of years to vie for a World Series. So, I mean, if I was in Tampa, St. Pete, or any of those places on a consistent basis daily, my butt would be going to the game as often as I could, and hopefully people will start doing that. How do you reflect on a season, Dukes, when you're the press box manager and it ends like that, right? You got 81 games, you enjoy your time, you get in the playoffs, 2 games happen, and then it's over, right? You don't know if you're going to be up in the press box for the next 3-4 weeks or the next 2 days. And so it can be, over in an instant like that. How do you handle that? Because you care about these guys far beyond the world of just baseball.
Yeah, I struggle with it, Dan, because I'm a relationship kind of guy, and except for the 2 World Series participants, and if the World Series goes to 7 games, no playoff team knows when their season's going to end.
Yeah.
And like ours did, it ended abruptly. And so you don't get a chance to say your goodbyes, to say thank you to too many people. I mean, the game ended last Wednesday, and guess what? Everybody left. And so I've spent a lot of time in the last week on, emails and text messages and saying, just sorry I didn't get to say goodbye to you. And especially with the ball players, you don't know how many of them are going to be back next year. It's a tough situation for me. I will say that I've kind of got used to it. It's like I say, it happens to to a lot of teams. Uh, Up the playoff teams, like I said, nobody knows when your season's going to end. So, uh, yeah, you make do the best you can, and I try to maintain the relationships. I'll be sending text messages or even have Zoom calls with some of our players and some of our staff during the off season. Stay in touch with them. A lot of the minor league guys I work with, so we'll stay in touch.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it, and that's the excitement of it, right? As those relationships that you built. Speaking of relationships, before I let you go, Dukes, in this Blessings in Baseball edition on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, it is no secret that I'm a Diamondbacks fan all day, every day. I do have a soft spot for the Rays, and you know that, and you've known that for over a decade. So I do have a soft spot for the Rays. And Wade Boggs, I remember when he came out there, and he was there toward the end, and I loved that. So Diamondbacks and Rays, too, also came into the league together. So when that happened back in 1997, pretty special time. And being a Diamondbacks fan means the world to me. I would love to know your thoughts on the Arizona Diamondbacks and what they're currently doing in a world where, besides me and them, I don't know how many people are rooting for the Diamondbacks or thinking that they can make it.
Well, as you know, I'm an American League fan. Rays and Twins are my teams. I do have a soft spot for the D-backs this year. Ryan Thompson is a very good friend of mine, and I'm happy to see the success he's having with the Diamondbacks. Last night he was fantastic, and I also enjoy, as many people do, David Goliath stories, and when the young Diamondbacks can take down the giant, that makes for a good story in my mind. So, yeah, I'm pulling for your boys, Dan.
Yeah, well, we continue to work. Got a game tomorrow night for those of you watching live. Game's going to be at 9:07 p.m. Eastern Time. I have to travel after that game, and I keep sitting here going, I need to rest, but I don't know how I'm going to be able to go to sleep. And because I've watched these games all the way through. And I'm not going to say that I'm superstitious, but I don't know if I can go to sleep and be like, yeah, I'll just find out what happens in the morning. I don't think that that's something that I can do. So I look forward to it. I'm excited about it. Always excited to talk with you, Dukes. Blessings in baseball. Speaking on God, faith, trying to help this world, trying to bring people together of different religions, different backgrounds, different nationalities, culture, whatever it may be, to find a way to unite us and have that camaraderie and that connection and that positivity and that goodness. And then we link it to sports. Why? Because sports is one of the places where people from different ethnicities and different backgrounds and different religions and different languages and whatnot come together. So Blessings in Baseball is my way of expanding even more so what Wake Up Call is all about, which is where sports meets life. Sports does things better than society does. And if we could just take a page out of the sports book, we might be able to learn something when we see a team come together of all differences toward a similar goal and work together. Wow, how much the world and this country would be so much better if we took a page out of the sports book.
Amen. We go back to when the Mets and the Yankees played right at the first game after 9/11. I mean, that was such a unifier. It was great.
That coming from Dukes Knutson here, the press box manager of the Tampa Bay Rays. Dukes, I look forward to you being a even if it's for lease for a little while. I look forward to you being a Diamondbacks fan in the National League here for the next few weeks. And my best to your Twins as always. Please get better, and thank you so much. It says a lot about you, not only that you take the time, but that when you were feeling under the weather today, no excuses, no nothing. You showed up, you were here and ready to go, and I value your friendship tremendously, and you know that I love you.
You know, it's my pleasure. Love you too, bud.
And I'll talk with you soon.
God
God
bless.
bless. that coming from Dukes Knutson. One more time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, hanging out with us where sports meets that thing called life. We're going to take a step aside, and we'll wrap up today's broadcast right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Thank you so much for being with us. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career, it's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you every single week, Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, right off of Teal Ave. Head to GG Cards and Breaks during the Major League Baseball postseason for all those players that you love. If you're a Corbin Carroll fan, right? Or if you're out there with Spencer Strider, you're a big fan of Strider, whoever you love to watch go out and see what they have at GG Cards and Breaks. They might have that special relic card for you, or that rookie patch auto, or just that auto in general, or a good numbered card, or you can go and get one of their boxes and see what you can get in this Major League Baseball postseason, or during the NFL season, or if you're an AEW fan when it comes to wrestling, as well as soccer and everything that they have for soccer. Hockey season is starting. You can go get your packs and your boxes now. Basketball season is going to be starting up. You can come get your packs and your boxes now. There's so many things in their inventory that continue to evolve and grow and change over time that it is the perfect time always to go into GG Cards and Breaks, because there's always something going on. There's always something in the hobby that you can love and appreciate. There's favorite teams that you have, and at the same time, there might be a player that you're watching right now that you love to watch, or maybe someone's on your fantasy team and you want to get a card because you become a fan of them over these last few months, watching them play in fantasy, or these last few weeks. GG Cards and Breaks is a way for you to evolve in the hobby. Right? I'm a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, but I might have somebody on my fantasy football team and go, you know what? I'm a big fan of Tua now because I've had Tua here. So they have a relic card of Tua at GG Cards and Breaks. Maybe I'll go and buy it. Maybe I'll go get it graded. So it's just something that can always be growing and changing and evolving. The same hobby, new memories is something we say all the time at GG Cards and Breaks, and it's true. I've been a member of this hobby for many years of my life, and I'm making new memories at GG Cards and Breaks because of their graded cards, their singles, their packs, their boxes. We do a ton of box breaks throughout the months here that we've worked with GG Cards and Breaks, and we'll continue to do that. We have a lot of fun in this, and my Corbin Carrolls I treasure, and that came from meeting up with people that love sports cards, right? And being able to go to a trade night at GG Cards and Breaks, and people know I'm a Jaguars fan, and they'll walk over to me and hand me an Andre Sisco and be like, hey man, wanted to give this to you. So a lot of great stuff at GG Cards and Breaks. Make sure you head out there today and find the cards of the teams that you love. And if you can't find that favorite player that you have, well, then maybe it's time to do a little pack break or box break yourself at 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 to 5. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I want to thank you for being a part of the show. Hour number 1 was spent hanging out with Joe Adam, who is the head coach of St. Anselm's football team. They play inside of the NE10 in NCAA Division II. They just got a huge win, and they continue to move forward and progress under somebody who is always appreciative and grateful for the Lord, and I can't thank Joe enough. The conversation we had today, embodying where sports meets life, and then in this hour of the broadcast, continuing that focus on where sports meets life and involving God with Dukes Knutson of our bi-monthly segment every other Tuesday, Blessings in Baseball, with the press box manager of the Tampa Bay Rays and one of my closest friends who has stayed true to his word of our friendship and our bond and our relationship, which has continued to grow even when we're thousands of miles away, and cannot thank him enough for his love for God and his love for humanity and his goodness and all the hard work that he does, and his passion for baseball, which brings you Blessings in Baseball, bringing that passion, that faith, along with that love for the sport of baseball together every month, bi-monthly, on every other Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Before we hop out of here on Tuesdays, we do the ingredients to success. So it's time for me to give you that segment, proudly presented by the wonderful team at Avicoli's on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, right on the corner of Wetzel Road and Route 57. You can get over to Avicoli's for lunch, dinner, and drinks. As always, drink responsibly and be of age. Head over to Avicoli's Tuesday through Sunday, and you can find them once again on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, right down the street from Liverpool High School. And we have our Liverpool Warriors monthly broadcasts on site, on location at Avicoli's to support the student athletes, coaches, administration, and entire Liverpool community, as well as the alumni around the world. So we thank you so much for coming out to our shows and showing love to the kids, to the adults, and to the entire community here for Liverpool and your Warriors at Avicoli's. And if you would like takeout, delivery, and catering, I do want to make mention that you can call 315-622-5100 or go to myavicoles.com. That's 315-622-5100 or go to myavicollis.com. With that being said, the ingredients to success. Well, I want to focus this week's topic on the company you keep because it's important, right? The company you keep is really important because who you decide to spend your time with, that's big, right? Because it affects you, right? The company you keep. What are the ingredients to success for that? Well, first, you have to know what you value, what matters to you, what's important to you. Because if you don't know what's important to you, you're easily impressionable. If you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. That's a true thing. It's not just a cliche statement. By the way, I think cliche means true. Because whenever somebody goes, not to be cliche, it's like, usually a cliche remark is something that's based in a lot of truth. And one of those things is you are the company you keep. You truly are. You know, when you hang around with people that might get themselves in trouble. You might be a good, nice person, kind person, you don't get in trouble. But when you hang around people that get in trouble all the time, what do people think? Oh, that's another kid that gets in trouble. That's another person that gets in trouble. Because you're hanging out with people that they know get in trouble. And when you're around it, right, when you're around people, if you're a go-getter and you're around a bunch of people that are lazy and don't really try, that starts to kind of rub off on you. You are the company you keep. And when you surround yourself with certain people doing certain things, even if you're not that way, people might think you are that way because they see you with those people, right? They see you with people that are doing bad things. They see you with people that are lazy. They see you with people that dropped out of high school. They see you with people who don't really try or give an effort, or maybe they swear a lot and they're disrespectful in public and they say things around kids. You might not be that way, but you're around those people. So you shouldn't be surprised when someone turns around and says to you, well, we thought you were like that. And then you say, why? And you say, well, because we see you around that all the time. And eventually, that company that you keep, like, I don't like drama. So I had to get rid of dramatic people in my life. And to the people that are still in my life that pose that drama threat, when they're dramatic, I minimize my time with them. If they continue to be dramatic, that time minimizes to almost zero at times. We have members of our family and we go, okay, well, we have members of our family that are dramatic, right? These aren't just friends or girlfriends or boyfriends that you could just be like, all right, we're going to break up or we're going to stop being friends. It's my mom, it's my dad, it's my sister, it's my brother, it's my uncle, it's my grandfather, it's my whoever, right? Then you minimize your time. And you be very clear. Say, hey, I want to spend time with you. I love you to pieces. I want to see you all the time. But I can't be around this drama. I can't be around this negativity. I can't be around this dark cloud, this ominous cloud that you create and you perpetuate because you want to believe that everything's bad and everything's doomsday clock and all that stuff. You have to be able to stand up for yourself because the company you keep affects you. It affects your day. If you're around dramatic people, eventually there's going to be drama in your life. You're going to maybe start being dramatic. But when you're around happy people and you're around good people and you're around people that are, excited, I'm not saying somebody has to be happy all the time, like they're heavily medicated, right? They're just like smiling, just like that crazy smile. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying when you're around happy people, right? People that are just excited. They wake up in the morning, they're happy to be alive. Those are the people to be around. Why? Because that's positivity, right? Positivity is contagious. Negativity is contagious. It's what you put your effort into. So if you want ingredients to success, if you want to minimize your drama, if you want to maximize your time, then you need to be conscious of who you're spending time with. Because the people that you're spending time with, there's people that you spend time with that waste time. There's people that do that all the time. I remember hanging out with one of my friends and somebody else would hang out with us and that person was a time waster. When you hung out with them, they would do nothing. They would just sit and they weren't like kind of get up and go. And if you wanted to do something, you would just see hours of your life just ticking by. Like, all right, dude, I'll go to lunch with you. but like I don't want to spend 4 hours doing that. Like there's other things I want to do, there's things I want to get to. And you get to a point where you say to yourself, if my girlfriend doesn't want to go to a baseball game, why haven't I gone to a baseball game in 2 years? Why don't I just go without her? Right? Because you shouldn't have anybody in your life going, well, I don't like baseball, so we're not going. You know, my ex-wife said to me, you're no longer covering one of the teams that I cover. She goes, you're not covering that team anymore because I don't feel like you should. And I thought in my head, our relationship is already going toward the end, and this is expediting the process. Don't ever let somebody tell you what you can and cannot do, who you can and cannot be. And some of you surround yourself with that, right? You surround yourself with people who settle. So they tell you that marriage is crap, marriage is awful, marriage is like, it's like jail, they hate it, it's ridiculous, they don't have any fun. That's not because marriage is bad, that's that their marriage might be bad. You know, when somebody says marriage is terrible, why? Because mine is. No, just yours is not good. That doesn't mean all marriages are bad. When I talked about trophy society, kids that got trophies as kids for not even having to try and do anything, and now they don't try as they get older in life. They don't try in school, they don't try at their job. So that comes from being handed stuff. But not every kid is like that, right? Not every kid chose that. Not every kid was raised the same. Some kids take advantage of trophy society. Other kids like me would say, I don't really want a trophy for being in 7th place. I remember one year I did a talent show and we won first place. And the next year, one year, what was it? We did a science fair and my buddy James and I, we won first place and we got a blue ribbon. Then the next year we didn't win any place and we got a blue ribbon. And I was like, I don't want this blue ribbon. Like, why don't you want the ribbon? I said, because it dilutes what just happened. Last year we won first place. We got a blue ribbon. I got really excited. Now this ribbon looks just like it, which makes me feel like the first place doesn't have any value if they're just handing out these, hey, thanks for being here, blue ribbons. So, and if you look at my studio, I had a bunch of participation trophies when I was a kid. None of them are in here. I had participation medals. None of them are in here. The only trophies that are in here are the fantasy football leagues that I won. And the other one that's in here is the year that I was MVP and my team won the playoffs in our basketball camp. Those are the trophies that are here because they mean something, because we did something. We didn't just show up and pick our nose and sit in the grass when we were supposed to be playing a sport or doing something else. You know, we actually went out and gave the effort. So, you know, to me, folks, it comes down to you are the company you keep and that energy that you keep. If you're around people that don't try, then I talk about the Trophy Society. If you're around people that take advantage of the Trophy Society and they're not trying and they're not giving effort, it starts to make you feel guilty when you do try, and they make fun of you when you try, right? And that's not healthy, because then you start feeling like, well, should I try? Because I don't want to be made fun of. Of course you should try. But they're making fun of you not because there's anything wrong with you, it's because there's something wrong with them. That's how they feel inside. They feel like, well, the more you try, it makes me look bad. The more you do, it makes me look bad. The more effort you give, it makes me look bad. So stop doing it so that I can feel better about myself. And that's not healthy, and that's not good. And you shouldn't be around those people. So my ingredients to success for you is look at the people you spend your time with, the people you text, the people you date, the people you talk to on the phone, the people you consider your friends, the family members that you're around. Look at the work environment that you have and who you're around and what you're spending your time doing. Because if you want a peaceful life, you have to be clear about that. If you want a peaceful life, you have to work toward that. It doesn't just happen. Like I was talking to Dukes about, things don't happen. You have to give effort, right? You have to move forward. There are things that can happen over time, but there's a reason why people that constantly are working toward their goals and giving effort and giving passion to it, why they always look lucky. How did they get so lucky? It has nothing to do with luck. It has to do with consistent effort over time toward a goal. And being around people who have no goals, being around people who Don't try. Being around people who make fun of you for trying. Being around people who make fun of other people, who disrespect other people, who talk badly about other people, who are negative, who try to always get you to say bad things about other friends that aren't there. That's not healthy. So my ingredients to success for you is take a look at who you're around. Take a look at the energy that's around you and figure out if that's the energy that is building you up or breaking you down. Is it the energy that is positive or is it negative? Because when you want a better life for yourself, you have to be deliberate about that. You can't just want a better life and get one. You have to work toward it. And sometimes it means saying goodbye to a girlfriend or boyfriend. Sometimes it means saying goodbye to a husband or wife. Sometimes it means spending less time with a family member. Sometimes it means not hanging out with that crew at school or having lunch with them. Not because you're a bad person, but because what you want for yourself is greater than what you're surrounding yourself with, right? What does a rocket need to take off, right? What is I should say a space shuttle, right? So when a space shuttle is taking off, they need all those rockets, they need all those engines, they need all those pieces that get them up, send them out into the air, and then pieces drop off, right? They push them to a certain time and then they let go. They need that help to kind of build them up and push them up and get them out into orbit. So are you surrounding yourself with people that are trying to push up your space shuttle and get you to your destination? Or are you with people that are trying to keep your space shuttle grounded, telling you that you'll never make it in space? It's pretty clear to see the people that are for you and the people that are not. The people that root for you, the people that don't, the people that build you up, and the people that tear you down. Drama is not something that ever gets better. It only gets worse. And it's not that life isn't without its challenges, but challenges and drama are two different things. We all have challenges, but we don't need drama. Drama is created. Challenges happen beyond our control sometimes. So look at the company you keep, because if you want a successful, a happy, and a peaceful life, you need to be cognizant of who you're around, how often you're around them, and what happens when you're around those people. So make sure that you spend your time wisely. And those are your ingredients to success. Proudly presented by the fantastic team at Avicoli's on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, 7839 Oswego Road to be exact, down the street from Liverpool High School, and where we do our Liverpool monthly broadcast with the Warriors, student athletes, coaches, and administration. Head out to Avicoli's today for lunch, dinner, and drinks. As always, drink responsibly, and you can, responsibly, I should say, and you can find your way over there for takeout, delivery, and catering by calling 315-622-5100 or by going to myavicolis.com. We appreciate you, Avicoli's, to John and the entire team over there. God bless you, and thanks for everything you do. And with that being said, we thank you for watching and listening to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So however you're connecting with the show, we thank you for being there and thank you for being a part of the broadcast on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Once the show goes live, it jumps into the archive on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora or Wake Up Call DT as one word, and you'll find us on all of these channels. A big time thanks to our incredible partners all throughout Central and Upstate New York: Carvel DeWitt, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay. Chick-fil-A Cicero closed for October as they refurbish and somehow become even better than they already are, which you would think is impossible, but I know they'll find a way to up the ante once again. So make sure you head out to Chick-fil-A Clay, 3974 Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. And of course, PB&J's Lunchbox, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Avicoli's, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, 317 at Montgomery Street. The name of the location is the name of the restaurant. Go and try their Taste of Mexico burger that they have extended. It was their burger of the month in September. It's been so good that they're keeping it for October. Go and get the Taste of Mexico burger with homemade tortilla chips, pico de gallo, and homemade queso right now for your dining pleasure at 317 Montgomery Street in downtown Syracuse. Big time thanks to Mother's Cupboard, Great Lakes Honda City, and where we were last night at Pizza Man, hanging out with the girls volleyball team of the Baldwinsville Bees, coming off a season where they had won their sectionals, made it to regionals, and this season, with a bunch of matches to go, have defeated the team that they lost to in the regionals of last year, with hopes and sights set on some awesome memories to come, as we had some awesome memories last night. Thank you to all these partners, and of course a big thanks to the Lemoyne College Dolphins for being exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. The wonderful, wonderful Lemoyne College Dolphins find you with every sport throughout the year here on Wake Up Call, exclusively bringing you first coverage of everything going on, including an entire year of preparation for them moving from Division II to Division I, and every first and third Wednesday, AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. Every second and fourth Wednesday, the Dolphin Dive, diving into stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. Find all of our content by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and clicking subscribe. And the Lemoyne tab is there for you for a playlist on our YouTube channel to make it even easier once you're on our YouTube channel to find our Lemoyne specials. So make sure you check those out. Go to LemoyneDolphins.com for more information. And as always, fins up. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and Dan Tortora Broadcast Media, our exclusive multimedia marketing partners with the Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse. You can find your Bobcats on Wake Up Call every single month. Student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year telling their stories inside of the Bobcat buzz. Go to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and click subscribe so you can connect with the Bobcats all throughout the year. And of course, you can see the BSC Syracuse playlist on our YouTube channel to get to know your Bobcats so much easier by going and being able to look throughout our couple years of working together and find all the specials that we've already done and everything that is to come with your Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats, with a very unique and special way of conducting the student and athlete life on James Street in Syracuse, New York. I love working with them because of their difference and their incredible people, personalities, care, and concern that they have for the student athlete and for the community. So love working with the Bobcats. Check them out on our YouTube channel and on wakeupcalldt.com. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. And as always, go Bobcats. The Alfred University Saxons are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and Dan Tortora Broadcast Media. You could find the Saxons during Saxon Time, which comes to you on Mondays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, featuring the Presidential Perspective with President Mark Zupan every first and third Monday of each month. And every second and fourth Monday, you get the Saxon Spotlight, spotlighting student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni of the Alfred University community. So truly appreciate them so very much, and we thank the Alfred University Saxons for everything we've gotten to do. Under promise and over deliver. Just came off a weekend where I got to be the color commentator, joining Eli Fishman for the broadcast of their homecoming weekend and first game in the Empire 8 for their football team. A comeback victory for the Saxons over the SUNY Morrisville Mustangs, 14-10 at home at Alfred University. You can find all our content with Alfred University by subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, and there is an Alfred U Saxons playlist that's on our YouTube channel that makes it even easier for you. Make sure you go to gosaxons.com for more information, and as always, go Saxons. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I want to thank you for being a part of the show. Cannot appreciate you enough for all that you do just by clicking a couple buttons and hanging out with us Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You can find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, the former Twitter, and on Instagram at wakeupcall_DT. Big time thanks to Dukes Knutson as well as Joe Adam for our special before today, and they aired an hour before this one. And can't wait to talk with you tomorrow. A lot of great stuff coming up, a lot of awesome guests, a lot of exclusives coming to you on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. As always, folks, God bless you. Please de-stress to the best of your ability and try to keep it that way. And always do your best, because your best will always be good enough. To God, to yourself, and to those that truly love you. Have a great day. I'll talk with you soon. Be safe.